The grand hall of Crescent Moon Pack had never felt so cold. Once, Athena had walked these marble floors with her head held high, proud to be the Luna at Alpha Damien's side. 6 years of marriage, 6 years of sacrifice, 6 years of carrying the weight of his pack on her shoulders. And now just like that it was gone. Enough, Damien's voice thundered through the council chamber, the words laced with venom. His tall frame loomed over her, dark eyes blazing with accusation. You are no longer my Luna. I reject you, Athena. The room seemed to tilt. Her breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, stunned, hoping, praying that this was some twisted nightmare. But the cruel sneer on his lips told her otherwise. Damien, please, you can't mean this, she whispered, her voice cracking. I can, and I do. His gaze swept over her as if she were filth beneath his boots. You've failed me, failed this pack. You've failed as a mate. I will not have a barren Luna standing beside me. The word struck her harder than any physical blow. Barren. Athena's hand instinctively went to her abdomen. Just yesterday she had been filled with hope, cradling the spark of life inside her, their child. But when the bleeding started, when the pain had racked her body, that fragile hope had slipped away. And now Damien twisted the knife deeper, casting blame on her for a loss she had already been drowning in. Her knees threatened to buckle. Around her, the council members shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. No one defended her. She had given everything to this pack, her loyalty, her love, her youth, and in return, they offered her silence. The mate bond between them frayed under Damien's rejection, threads snapping inside her chest one by one until all that remained was an aching emptiness. She gasped, clutching her heart, her wolf howling in anguish within her. When she finally raised her eyes, Damien had already turned away, as if she were nothing more than a discarded cloak, no longer worth the weight of his attention. Athena, it was Beta Marcus, his tone detached, almost rehearsed. You are hereby stripped of your title and position. You have until dawn to leave Crescent Moon territory. Should you remain, you will be treated as a rogue. The finality of the words crushed her. She stumbled from the chamber, her vision blurred by unshed tears. Outside, the moon hung heavy in the night sky, silver light spilling across the courtyard. She inhaled sharply, tasting the cool air, yet it felt like her lungs couldn't fill. Everything she had built shattered in a single night. Her marriage, her pup, her place as Luna. She had nothing left. Athena sank to her knees at the edge of the courtyard, trembling fingers gripping the cold stone. Her wolf whimpered in the recesses of her mind, wounded and hollow. But even as despair threatened to swallow her whole, she felt it, that prickling sensation, like eyes burning into her skin. She wasn't alone. Slowly, she lifted her head. Across the courtyard, leaning in the shadows near the arched gates, stood a man. His posture was relaxed, arms crossed, but his presence filled the air like thunder before a storm. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair glinting under the moonlight, eyes that gleamed like molten silver, fixed solely on her. Lorenzo. She knew who he was instantly. Alpha of the Black Fang Pack, ruthless, cunning, feared by many, respected by more. And Damien's uncle. Why was he here? Athena's breath hitched. He hadn't moved, but the intensity of his gaze pinned her where she knelt, making her feel exposed in ways Damien's cruelty never had. It wasn't pity in his eyes, it was something darker, something hungry. Her instincts screamed to look away, to flee. Yet she couldn't. Something about him held her fast, like a predator watching prey. Or something more dangerous still. T last. His lips curved, not a smile, but the shadow of one. And then he stepped back into the darkness, vanishing as if he had never been there. Athena's heart pounded. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. She didn't know why Lorenzo had come, or why he had watched her so intently. But deep down, her wolf stirred uneasily. Her life had just ended. Yet, in the shadows, something new, something dangerous had begun. The dawn broke gray and merciless. Athena stood at the edge of Crescent Moon territory, a small bundle of belongings clutched in her hands. The guards at the border didn't meet her eyes as they opened the gate, but she could feel their silent judgment pressing down on her back. Once, they had bowed when she passed. Now, she was nothing, just another cast-off destined to wander the wilderness like a rogue. Her wolf pressed against her chest, restless and raw. We should run. We should fight. But Athena knew better. She had no pack to back her, no mate bond to anchor her. no strength left in her shattered body. Fighting would mean death. Running would mean madness. She stepped past the boundary stones, leaving behind 6 years of her life with nothing but scars to show for it. The forest greeted her with the sharp scent of pine and the distant cry of crows. She walked until her legs ached, her mind numb. She had no destination, just away. Away from Damien, away from the whispers, away from the emptiness. By midday, exhaustion forced her to rest beside a stream. She cupped trembling hands into the water, drinking until her throat stopped burning. The cold seeped into her bones, but it was nothing compared to the ice that had already taken root inside her. You won't last long out here on your own. The voice startled her so violently she nearly toppled into the water. Athena spun, her heart hammering. He stood just beyond the trees, tall and commanding, as though he had stepped straight out of the shadows. Lorenzo. The sight of him stole her breath again. There was something predatory about the way he carried himself, as though the forest itself bent around his presence. His eyes, those impossible silver eyes, swept over her like a caress. Though his expression was unreadable, Athena scrambled to her feet, clutching her bundle tighter. "Why are you following me?" she demanded, though her voice quavered. A faint smirk touched his lips. "Following? No, little wolf. Watching." The way he said it made her skin prickle. She had been prey in Damien's eyes, a burden, a disappointment. But in Lorenzo's gaze, she was something else entirely. Something he wanted. Athena forced herself to stand tall. "I don't need your help. Whatever you want from me." The answer is no. His smirk deepened, though it never reached his eyes. "And what do you think I want?" Her throat went dry. She couldn't answer, not when the truth pressed against her like a weight. He wanted her. He had wanted her from the moment he saw her last night. She had felt it in his stare, the way it clung to her even after he was gone. "I don't care," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "I'll survive on my own." Lorenzo stepped closer, his boots silent on the forest floor. "No, Athena, you won't. Rogues will scent your weakness. Packs will hunt you from their borders. And you?" He tilted his head, studying her with unnerving calm. "You're too fragile now. You'd break before the week is out." Her nails dug into her palms, anger sparking through the numbness. "Then let me break. At least it will be my choice." For the first time, his expression shifted. Not amusement, not cruelty, something sharper, darker. Desire threaded with something that looked almost like admiration. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly, stepping close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. His voice dropped to a low, commanding rumble. "But strength without protection is a waste. I could offer you both." Her pulse stuttered. "Why?" Lorenzo's gaze lingered on her lips before rising to meet her eyes. "Because I want you." The words stole the air from her lungs. He didn't hide it, didn't mask it in false affection or sweet lies. Where Damien had turned cold and cruel, Lorenzo was blunt and unapologetic. Athena shook her head, backing away. "I won't be anyone's toy. Not yours, not ever." He let her retreat, though his eyes burned like fire. "Not a toy," he murmured. "A Luna." Her heart clenched painfully. She had been a Luna once. The scars were still too fresh, too deep. Lorenzo didn't push further. Instead, he straightened, his tone shifting back to calm command. "Think on it. You won't last long out here. When you're ready to survive, you'll find me." And just like that, he turned and melted back into the trees, vanishing as easily as he had appeared. Athena sank to her knees, her chest heaving. His scent lingered in the air, dark, intoxicating, dangerously alluring. She buried her face in her hands. She didn't want him. She didn't trust him. But his words echoed in her mind, relentless. Not a toy, a Luna. And for the first time since her world had shattered, a flicker of something stirred inside her chest. Not hope, not yet, but the dangerous spark of possibility. The forest stretched endlessly before Athena, but no matter how far she walked, Lorenzo's words trailed her like shadows. Not a toy, a Luna. She shook the thought from her mind for the 100th time, clutching her bundle of clothes tighter. She couldn't let him worm his way into her thoughts. He was dangerous, more dangerous than Damien, more dangerous than the pack that had cast her out. Because Lorenzo didn't hide what he wanted, he laid it bare, like a hunter marking his prey. By the second day alone, the reality of survival clawed at her. Her body was still weak from the miscarriage, her wolf subdued by grief. She managed to catch water from a stream but had nothing to eat. Hunger gnawed at her, dizziness making the world sway. As night fell, She built a small fire with trembling hands. The flames crackled weakly, throwing long shadows across the trees. She told herself she was safe, that no one would find her here. Yet her wolf shifted uneasily, ears pricked for danger, and then she felt it, that same electric prickle along her skin, the unmistakable awareness of being watched. Her breath caught. "Who's there?" She called into the darkness, though. Her voice came out weaker than she intended. Silence. She gripped a broken branch like a weapon, heart pounding. Then, without a sound, he stepped into the firelight. Lorenzo. The fire painted his features in sharp relief, the cut of his jaw, the silver glint of his eyes, the calm command in the way he carried himself. He didn't look like a man intruding on another's space. He looked like he belonged there, as if the night itself had delivered him. "You again," Athena whispered, her voice tight with both fear and something she couldn't name. He glanced at the pitiful fire, then at her pale, weary form. "You're starving." She bristled, clutching her branch tighter. "I told you I don't need you." His lips curved in that infuriating half-smile. "And yet, here you are, hungry, cold, alone." He crouched near the fire, unbothered by her makeshift weapon. "You can hate me all you want, little wolf, but hate won't keep you alive." Athena's throat tightened. The truth of his words stung more than his tone. Without waiting for her response, Lorenzo opened a leather pouch slung across his shoulder and pulled out bread, cured meat, and a flask. He set them on a flat rock between them, not offering simply, placing. The smell hit her like a blow. Her stomach twisted painfully, saliva rushing to her mouth, but pride held her still frozen. "I won't take your charity," she managed, though her voice cracked. "Good." His eyes gleamed. "It isn't charity, it's a bargain." Her chest tightened. "What bargain?" Lorenzo leaned forward, the firelight catching in his eyes until they glowed like liquid silver. "You eat, you live, and when you're ready to stop pretending you can survive without me, you come willingly to my side." Her pulse raced. His words weren't a command, they were a trap woven in silk, subtle but unbreakable. Athena shook her head, backing away. "You think you can just buy me with food, with protection? I'll never belong to you." His smirk faded. In its place came a shadow of something darker, something raw. "You already do." The conviction in his tone made her breath falter. He said it not as a wish, not as a threat, but as fact, as if the universe itself had written it into stone. Athena's wolf stirred uneasily within her, responding to his dominance. It terrified her. It infuriated her. And worse, it tempted her. She turned away, hugging herself. "Leave me." For a moment, the only sound was the fire crackling between them. Then, Lorenzo rose slowly to his feet. His presence loomed over her, not with violence but with inevitability. "I'll leave," he said at last, his voice low and rough. "But remember this, Athena, every moment you spend out here alone, every night you starve, every shadow you fear, I could take it all away." She didn't answer. Couldn't. When she finally looked up, he was gone again, the forest swallowing him whole. But the food remained where he'd left it, the smell taunting her resolve until her hands shook. In the end, hunger won. She tore into the bread with tears burning her eyes, hating him, hating herself, hating the weakness that tied her to his games. And yet, when the fire burned low and exhaustion dragged her into restless sleep, her last thought was not of Damien or the pack she'd lost. It was of Lorenzo's eyes in the firelight, and the terrifying truth hidden in them. "You already do." 3 days passed. Athena had wandered deeper into the wilderness, driven by stubborn pride and the desperate need to prove Lorenzo wrong. But her body betrayed her. Each mile grew harder, her legs heavy, her stomach hollow. The bleeding from her miscarriage had slowed, but the ache inside her hadn't lessened. She was breaking. On the 4th morning, she awoke to the sound of horses. Her heart lurched as panic seized her. She scrambled to her feet, clutching her bundle only to freeze when she saw them. Not rogues, not crescent moon trackers, black fang riders. Their head rode Lorenzo. The sight of him stole her breath. He sat tall and proud in his saddle, dressed in dark leather that clung to the power of his frame. His wolf radiated authority even without shifting, a presence so commanding the very air seemed to bend to him. Athena's pulse thundered. She took a step back, but there was nowhere to run. His men fanned out, forming a loose circle around her. "Camp." Lorenzo dismounted with easy grace, his boots crushing the undergrowth as he approached. His eyes found hers instantly piercing, unrelenting. You've proven your point, he said, his tone smooth but edged. You've survived. Barely. But survival isn't living, Athena. And you're not meant to fade away like some nameless rogue. She clenched her fists. And what do you suggest instead? That I crawl to you? That I let you own me because Damien no longer does? His jaw tightened, and for a flicker of a moment, his eyes darkened with something primal. But his voice remained steady. No, I don't want you crawling. I want you standing at my side, where you belong. Her laugh was bitter, broken. Belong? I belonged once, and look what it cost me. Lorenzo didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his coat and withdrew a folded piece of parchment. He held it out to her. Athena frowned. What's that? A contract. His silver gaze didn't waver. Marry me. Not for love. Not for fate. For survival. For power. For a second chance. Her breath caught. He unfolded the parchment, letting her see the neat script inked across it. The words were simple but binding. Athena Grey will take Lorenzo Black as her maiden name and Luna of the Black Fang Pack for a period of 1 year. Her hands shook as she read further. Terms, conditions, safety, shelter, the promise of protection, position, and dignity. All of it laid out in black and white. You can't be serious, she whispered. I am deadly serious. He stepped closer, lowering his voice until it was just for her. With me, you'll never be cast aside again. No council will dare touch you. No man will humiliate you. You'll be mine and mine alone. Her chest constricted. Mine. The word reverberated through her, sending her wolf into a restless stir. And if I refuse? She asked, though her voice was barely audible. Lorenzo's gaze burned hotter, though his tone remained calm. Then, you keep wandering, starving, waiting for rogues to tear you apart. Or worse, waiting for Damien to send hunters to finish what he started. Do you truly believe he'll let you walk free with his secrets? The reminder cut like a blade. Damien wouldn't rest. He'd brand her a traitor to justify her exile. Packs would close their borders. Rogues would smell her weakness. Her wolf whimpered. We cannot fight them alone. Athena's throat worked, but no words came. She hated this, hated that he was right. Hated that survival meant shackling herself to another alpha, one who looked at her not with warmth, but with hunger. Lorenzo reached out, his hand brushing hers as he pressed the parchment into her grip. His touch was searing, commanding, yet not cruel. Think carefully, little wolf, he murmured, his breath grazing her ear. This isn't charity. This isn't pity. It's an opportunity. One you will not get twice. Her heart pounded wildly, torn between fear and the strange pull his presence ignited inside her. He stepped back, eyes locked on hers. I'll give you until the next moonrise. At dawn tomorrow, you either walk into my pack as my Luna, or you walk into the wild as nothing. With that, he turned, signaling his men. They mounted swiftly, and in moments the Black Fang riders melted back into the trees, leaving only silence and the parchment trembling in Athena's hands. She stood, frozen, the weight of the contract burning her palms. It was a prison dressed as salvation, a chain disguised as power, but it was also a choice and perhaps her only one. As the sun set, Athena's tears slipped silently down her cheeks. For the first time, she wondered not if she would break, but if Lorenzo would be the one to break her. The moon was still high when Athena found herself standing at the gates of Black Fang territory. The parchment weighed heavy in her hand, the inked words seared into her mind. Every step toward this moment had been agony, but she had no illusions left. The wilderness would kill her. Damien's wrath would find her. She couldn't risk either, and so she stood here, at the threshold of a future she did not want but could not avoid. 2 guards barred the gate, their spears gleaming in the moonlight. They eyed her warily, their nostrils flaring at her scent. One frowned, the other sneered. Who are you to come here? The sneering one asked. Athena swallowed hard. Her voice was barely steady. I'm here, for Lorenzo. The guards exchanged looks. One barked a laugh. Our alpha doesn't entertain strays. Athena's wolf bristled inside her. She straightened her shoulders, forcing strength into her tone. Tell him Athena Grey is here. He's expecting me. The guard scoffed. Grey? As in the crescent moon traitor? The words hit her like a blow. Heat stung her eyes, but she refused to bow her head. She had bowed enough before the guard could mock her further. A voice rolled through the night like thunder. Let her through. The guard stiffened. Athena turned, and there he was. Lorenzo emerged from the shadows, his presence cutting through the night air like a blade. Dressed in dark leather and steel, he looked every inch the alpha, untouchable, unyielding. His silver eyes locked on her, and the rest of the world faded. She hadn't signed the contract yet. She hadn't spoken the words aloud, but the moment his gaze claimed hers, she felt the invisible chains snap into place. The guards quickly stepped aside. Alpha, they muttered. Lorenzo strode toward her, his movements purposeful, predatory. When he reached her, his hand brushed the parchment, still clutched in her fingers. You've decided, he said softly, though it wasn't a question. Athena's lips trembled. I don't have a choice. His mouth curved, not in cruelty, but in triumph. There is always a choice. You chose me. She shook her head, ready to deny it. But the words died on her tongue, because deep down, some part of her knew he was right. She could have run. She hadn't. Lorenzo took the parchment from her hand and tucked it inside his coat. From this moment on, you are my Luna. My wolves will obey you as they obey me. His voice hardened, sharp as steel. And if they don't, they will answer to me. A shiver ran down her spine. He extended a hand. For a moment, she stared at it, callous, strong, a symbol of both promise and prison. Then, hesitantly, she placed her trembling fingers in his. The bond was not a mate's spark. It was colder, heavier, a contract, not destiny. Yet the moment his hand closed over hers, her wolf stirred uneasy, but not resisting. Lorenzo led her through the gates. The Black Fang Pack's compound sprawled before them, a fortress of dark stone and torchlight. Wolves paused in their duties, turning to watch as their alpha entered with a stranger at his side. Their gazes followed Athena, sharp with suspicion, some with open hostility. Whispers rose like smoke. That's the crescent moon Luna. Damien's cast off. She doesn't belong here. Each word cut deep. Athena kept her chin high, though her insides quaked. Lorenzo didn't acknowledge the whispers. His hand tightened around hers, his voice carrying across the courtyard. This is Athena. She is your Luna. You will respect her as you respect me. A ripple of silence followed. None dared to defy him aloud, but the mistrust in their eyes lingered, heavy and unyielding. Lorenzo guided her into the Alpha's house, a towering structure at the heart of the compound. Inside, the air smelled of cedar and smoke. The hall was vast, the hearth blazing. Yet the warmth did little to ease the chill in her chest. Once the doors closed behind them, Athena finally pulled her hand free. They hate me, she whispered. They fear you, Lorenzo corrected, unfastening his cloak. And in time, they'll accept you. My word is law. She hugged her arms around herself. And if I don't want to be here, if I regret this? His silver gaze locked on hers, unyielding. Then regret it, but you will still be here. My Luna, my contract, mine. The last words sent a shiver down her spine, not from fear alone, but from the dangerous heat threaded through it. Athena turned away, staring into the fire. I won't be a pawn again, Lorenzo. I won't let you break me. Behind her, she heard him step closer, felt the heat of his presence at her back. His voice brushed her ear, low and rough. I don't want to break you, Athena. A pause. I want to keep you. Her breath caught, and for a moment, the fire was the only sound between them. But deep inside, where her wolf stirred, she knew this was only the beginning. The cold night pressed against the window panes of Lorenzo's manor, the wind howling like wolves prowling outside. Athena sat on the edge of the massive four-poster bed, her fingers gripping the hem of her nightdress as though it could shield her from everything that had happened. Her mind kept circling back to the last words Lorenzo had said before leaving her in this room. You are mine now. Contract or not, no one else will touch you. Those words had wrapped around her like invisible chains. They should have repulsed her, but instead they tangled inside her chest, leaving her breathless with confusion. She tried to remind herself of the betrayal she had endured. 6 years of marriage gone, a child ripped from her before she could even hold it, the Luna title stolen as if her years of devotion meant nothing. She had been discarded like a torn cloak, and in her lowest moment, Lorenzo swooped in like a predator. But he was also the only one who had reached out a hand when she was drowning. The door creaked open, startling her. Lorenzo's tall figure filled the doorway, the faint glow of lanterns catching the sharp edges of his jaw. He didn't stride in with arrogance like he usually did. Instead, he walked slower, measured, his eyes drinking her in. You're still awake. His voice was softer now, not the commanding tone he used when sealing the contract. Athena lifted her chin, determined not to let him see her weakness. Did you expect me to sleep peacefully in a stranger's house after everything you've forced on me? His lips quirked, though his eyes stayed dark. Stranger? You wound me, Athena. I've watched you longer than you know. You were never a stranger to me. That sent a shiver down her spine. She looked away, clutching the blanket. Then you should also know I will never love you. Lorenzo moved closer until the air between them thickened with tension. He crouched before her, bringing his face level with hers. His hand hovered near her cheek but didn't touch. Love, he murmured, as if testing the word. I don't need your love. Not yet. What I need is for you to stay, and I will make sure you never want to leave. Athena's breath hitched. You sound like a jailer speaking to his prisoner. Perhaps I am, he admitted without shame. But prisons can be comfortable. I will give you everything your husband never did. Power, safety, desire. All I ask is that you stop fighting me. Her heart betrayed her by fluttering at the word desire. She hated herself for it. She hated that his nearness ignited something her former mate never had. She forced steel into her voice. You think offering me gilded chains will make me forget what I lost? You think I can simply play your game? Lorenzo's eyes burned, but not with anger. It was something deeper, hungrier. Not forget, but heal. You can't lie to me, Athena. I see it in your eyes. You're broken, and you need someone strong enough to piece you back together. Her body trembled not from fear, but from the terrifying truth in his words. He leaned closer, his lips brushing near her ear. And I will be that someone. Athena pushed back, her voice cracking. You can't just decide that for me. For the first time, something softened in his expression. He straightened, exhaling heavily, as if restraining himself from reaching further. Perhaps, but I've already decided for myself, and I do not change my mind once I've claimed something. He stood tall again, a shadow of authority cloaking him. Rest now. Tomorrow, you will learn what it means to be my Luna, even if it begins only on paper. When he left, the room seemed to expand and yet feel emptier. Athena curled onto the bed, pressing her face into the pillow, her mind a whirlwind. She told herself she hated him. She told herself she would never bend. But as she drifted into a restless sleep, her body still remembered the warmth of his nearness, and deep inside, a dangerous part of her whispered, what if being his prisoner doesn't feel like a cage, but like belonging? The dawn brought light over the Black Fang compound, but Athena felt none of its warmth. She stood at the edge of the training grounds, her pulse racing as dozens of Alpha's wolves turned to scrutinize her. Their eyes were sharp, assessing. Some openly hostile, whispers floated on the wind. Crescent Moon's Luna, Damien's discarded mate. She doesn't belong here. Athena's wolf bristled, angry and restless. We are not prey. We are not weak. She pressed her hands to her sides, fighting the tremor in her voice. I am Athena Grey, she announced, louder than necessary. Luna of the Black Fang, I will be respected. A low murmur ran through the wolves. Some sneered, others snorted derisively. One large male stepped forward, fangs flashing. Respect is earned, not demanded, he growled. You were a traitor to your pack. How do we know you won't betray ours? Athena met his gaze, the sting of insult fueling her courage. I do not betray those I serve. You will learn that in time, or you will regret underestimating me. The male barked a harsh laugh and turned away, but the challenge lingered in the air like a storm cloud. Athena's wolf shifted uneasily, sensing the tension in the pack. Footsteps echoed behind her. She turned, expecting a wolf, but saw Lorenzo instead. His presence was immediate, commanding. His eyes locked on hers with an intensity that made her pulse stutter. You've made yourself known, he said softly, almost a growl. Good. Let them test you. It will show them your strength and remind them why I chose you. Athena's chest tightened. His words were a shield and a chain at the same time. I didn't choose this, did I? Alpha, another wolf said, approaching. Are you sure about her? The pack. We don't know her. She's not one of us. Lorenzo's eyes sharpened. She is mine. That makes her yours as well. You will obey her as you obey me, or you will answer to me. The threat hung in the air. Athena felt it coil around her like a serpent, dangerous and real. She had not wanted this, had not asked to be dragged into another Alpha's world. Yet here she stood, tied to a man whose obsession with her was as undeniable as it was terrifying. She swallowed hard. I will do my best. I will earn your respect. Lorenzo's gaze softened just enough for her to notice. I do not doubt you. And remember, you are never alone in this. The day passed in a blur of lessons and introductions. Athena was trained in Black Fang protocols, pack customs, and the delicate politics of wolves who resented her very existence. Every time a wolf's gaze lingered too long, she felt Lorenzo's eyes on her, always there, always watching. By midday, hunger gnawed at her. One of the younger wolves dared a smirk, pointing to the food prepared for the pack's morning meal. You'll eat with us, Athena said sharply, surprising even herself. Her wolf snarled at the implied challenge. Or you'll learn why disrespecting a Luna is foolish. The wolf's smirk faltered. A few others stiffened. Athena allowed herself a quiet exhale. Small victories mattered, even as the pack began to accept her presence grudgingly. She felt Lorenzo behind her, patient and unyielding. His proximity was both shield and torment. She hated that she was aware of the heat radiating from him, the quiet strength that radiated authority and desire. That evening, as she prepared for her first night in the Alpha's quarters, Lorenzo appeared silently at the doorway. She didn't turn. I saw your efforts today, he said, voice low and private. You held your ground. That earns respect. She felt the warmth of his presence closer now, almost like a tangible weight pressing against her back. I don't need praise, she murmured, her voice tight. No, he admitted, stepping closer. You need to survive, and you will, because I won't let anything harm you, not the pack, not Damien, not even yourself. Athena's hands curled at her sides. His words ignited a storm inside her: anger, defiance, and something else she wasn't ready to name. Her wolf stirred at his dominance, a reminder that no matter how much she resisted, she could not ignore the pull he had over her. I will never belong to you, she said finally, forcing the words out. Lorenzo's lips curved, dark and slow. You already do. Her breath caught, but she turned away before he could see the effect of his words. Alone in her room, she let the fire in the hearth flicker across her skin, reflecting the chaos inside her. She hated him. She feared him. She should despise the way her heart beat faster when he was near. And yet, as the first night in the Black Fang Manor wrapped her in uneasy shadows, Athena felt something undeniable. She was no longer running. She was trapped. But the chains felt almost like protection. The morning sunlight spilled through the tall windows of Black Fang Manor, painting Athena in hues of gold and silver. She moved quietly through the halls, careful not to draw the attention of the pack members who still regarded her with suspicion. Breakfast was a tense affair. Whispers followed her, curious and hostile alike, but Athena kept her eyes straight, her posture commanding despite the gnawing anxiety in her chest. She was a Luna now by contract or not, and she would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her falter. Lorenzo, as always, arrived last. He took his place at the head of the table, his presence commanding, silver eyes surveying the room. When they landed on Athena, something in them shifted, softened, but only enough for her to notice. You slept well? He asked, his voice carrying that low, deliberate tone that made her pulse jump. I managed, she replied, her voice steady, though her wolf stirred at the attention. He nodded, and the meal continued in a tense silence. Occasionally, a pack member would glance at Athena, whispering, but Lorenzo's eyes never left her. Each glance felt like a tether, binding her more tightly to him than the contract ever could. Later, he found her alone in the training yard. Athena was practicing basic maneuvers, walking, standing, moving as a Luna should. Her movements were precise, but every misstep reminded her of her outsider status. You're improving, Lorenzo said, stepping out of the shadows. His approach was silent, almost predatory, but today there was no malice in his eyes. Not fast enough for your wolf, but fast enough for me to be pleased. Athena's cheeks flushed at the praise. I'm not here to please you, she said sharply. You already do, he replied smoothly, the words low, intimate. Even when you think you resist, you comply. Your wolf obeys you, yes, but it's aware of me as well. Her pulse quickened. His words were like fire against her skin. I am not a puppet, she whispered. No puppet, he agreed. But a Luna must listen to more than her own wolf. She must heed the needs of her pack, her mate, and herself. Athena's heart stuttered. Mate, the word hung heavy in the air. She hated that it made her body respond, that a part of her twisted toward him even as her mind screamed to resist. He moved closer, so close that the warmth of his body pressed against her, the scent of his cologne and raw wolf dominance, filling her senses. You fear me, he murmured, his lips barely brushing her ear. And yet, you crave me. That confusion is natural. I've seen it in every Luna who's ever been mine. Athena stiffened, the shiver rolling down her spine betraying her defiance. I do not crave you, she said, though her voice wavered. Lorenzo's lips quirked. You're lying to yourself, little wolf. And that is why you are mine. He stepped back, leaving her to stew in the storm of his presence. She wanted to hate him, to push away the heat his proximity ignited. But every instinct screamed otherwise. The afternoon brought the first test of her authority. A young black fang warrior, bold and brash, challenged her in front of the pack. Athena's pulse thundered, fear clawing at her chest, but she didn't flinch. She met his gaze, lifted her chin, and held her ground. Lorenzo watched from the sidelines, his arms crossed, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. When the warrior finally yielded, bowing grudgingly, Lorenzo stepped forward, his silver eyes fixed on Athena. You see, he murmured, quiet enough for only her to hear. You are strong, stronger than you believe. She didn't answer. She wasn't ready to admit it to him, to anyone. But inside, a seed of pride took root. Perhaps she could survive this world. Perhaps she could survive him. As evening fell, Lorenzo found her again in the library, surrounded by tomes detailing the history of Black Fang. Athena's wolf stirred, uneasy with his closeness. Do you ever rest? She asked, glancing at him over the pages. I rest when I can, he replied. And when I do, I think of you. Always you. Her breath caught. She looked down, heart hammering. The words were dangerous, intimate, breaking the walls she had built around herself. You speak as if I have a choice, she murmured, her fingers trembling over the page. Choice is a luxury if you have, he said softly, his hand brushing hers as he leaned to point at a passage. But you already made yours. You came here. You agreed to stay. Even if your mind fights, your soul, your wolf knows it's the right place for you. Athena wanted to deny it, wanted to pull away, but the warmth of his hand lingered, and the soft intensity of his gaze made her pulse race, her wolf stir, her body betray her resolve. When he finally straightened and left, the room felt impossibly cold. She hugged herself, her thoughts a whirlwind. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him, and somewhere deep inside, she knew she could never leave. The Black Fang training yard was alive with tension. Athena stood at the center, the morning sun casting long shadows across the sanded ground. Around her, wolves circled, their eyes sharp and calculating. Today was different. A young, arrogant warrior named Kale had openly challenged her authority, his movements brimming with defiance. Athena's wolf growled low, sensing the storm brewing. You think you can lead us? Kale sneered, stepping closer, his muscles coiled like a predator. You're not one of us. You don't belong here. Athena's pulse raced, but she held her ground. I am Luna of the Black Fang. You will respect me, she said, her voice steady despite the tension rising inside her. Kale laughed, sharp and cutting. Or what? The Alpha will protect you? The words hit her like a slap. Her wolf snapped in warning, but the fear prickling her spine wasn't just from Kale, it was the thought of Lorenzo. Before she could react further, a shadow fell over the yard. Athena looked up and froze. Lorenzo. He stepped into the sunlight like a force of nature, every movement deliberate, every muscle taut with authority. The pack fell silent, sensing the power radiating off him. Even Kale faltered, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. You dare challenge her? Lorenzo's voice rolled across the yard, low and dangerous. Do you not understand who stands before you? Kale's bravado wavered, but he squared his shoulders. She's not one of us. She has no right. Enough, Lorenzo growled. In an instant, he closed the distance between them. Athena's heart raced as he stopped mere inches from Kale, silver eyes flashing. I will allow no disrespect to my Luna. No pack member will ever question her authority again. Do you understand me? Kale swallowed hard, then nodded, muttering a reluctant yes. Alpha. Lorenzo's gaze snapped to Athena, softening slightly, though the underlying dominance never wavered. See, you are stronger than you think. Even when they test you, they cannot break you. Athena's cheeks burned not from anger, but from the weight of his words and the intensity in his gaze. Her wolf stirred at his presence, conflicted and restless. Why do you watch me so closely? She asked, her voice low, as he stepped back slightly. Lorenzo's lips curved a dark, knowing smile. Because I cannot afford not to. You are mine, Athena. Every look, every word, every move you belong to me. And I will ensure no one dares harm you. The possessiveness in his tone made her chest tighten, her pulse spiking in ways she refused to acknowledge. You're dangerous, she whispered, the words trembling out despite her effort to keep control. And yet, he murmured, stepping closer, you remain here. Not because you must, but because you cannot escape what you feel for me. Athena's fingers curled at her sides. His nearness was suffocating, intoxicating. Every instinct in her body screamed to push him away, yet another part trembled at the heat of his dominance. The yard fell silent, the pack's eyes darting between them, sensing the storm but not daring to intervene. Athena wanted to be angry, wanted to strike back, but the pull of his presence was magnetic, undeniable. Finally, Lorenzo stepped back, letting his shadow linger over her like a protective cloak. Train hard, he said, voice calm but edged with warning. Prove your strength, and remember no one will touch you. Not now, not ever. You are mine. Athena's wolf shifted uneasily, torn between pride and the fear that came with his obsession. She hated the way his words made her pulse race, hated the way her body betrayed her, and yet, as she stood tall, surveying the pack that had once doubted her, she realized something. She wasn't entirely afraid. She had survived betrayal, loss, and exile. She had endured 6 years of a broken marriage, the death of a child, and the hatred of her own pack. She could endure this, even if it meant surviving under Lorenzo's shadow. As the sun dipped lower, casting long golden streaks across the yard, Athena allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible acknowledgement of what was happening between them. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him, and somewhere deep down, she knew she could not run, not from the pack, not from him, not from the strange, terrifying pull that tethered them together. The night was thick with shadows, the moon casting silver streaks across the Black Fang compound. Athena stood in the courtyard, her arms crossed over her chest, heart hammering. Lorenzo's presence was already there, a silent predator in the darkness, his silver eyes gleaming in the torchlight. He didn't speak at first, letting her stew in the tension, the anticipation of what was to come. You're restless, he finally said, his voice low, deliberate, carrying the weight of authority and something more, something that made her pulse race despite her insistence that she hated him. I am not, she said, though her voice wavered. He stepped closer, the air around him pressing down on her. Your wolf knows differently. It senses challenge, danger, and desire, all at once. Athena's breath hitched. She hated that he could read her this way, that he could see the stirrings she tried so hard to suppress. Desire is irrelevant, she whispered. Is it? His tone was teasing, yet dangerous. He circled her slowly, predatory, observing her like a hunter sizing up prey. Everything about you is relevant to me, Athena. Every thought, every fear, every heartbeat. And I will not let you hide from it. She tried to step back, but the courtyard felt smaller under his gaze. Her wolf growled softly, unsettled by the intensity emanating from him. You've survived exile, betrayal, loss, he murmured, stopping inches from her. Yet you tremble now. Do you know why? She shook her head, unwilling to admit it. Because you care what I think. His hand brushed hers, just a fleeting touch, yet enough to ignite a fire through her veins. Because you are already mine, and whether you admit it or not, you feel it too. Athena's wolf snarled inwardly, sensing the shift. She pulled back sharply. I do not belong to you. Do not lie to yourself, he whispered. Even now, your body betrays you. His words were a knife through her restraint. She wanted to step away, to run, to scream, but she could not. Something magnetic, dangerous, and utterly consuming kept her rooted. Lorenzo's lips curved, almost imperceptibly, as he reached out. Again, letting his fingers graze the back of her hand. I am testing you, he said softly, yet there was an edge to it. To see how far you can hold your ground. To see how far you will let me challenge you. Athena's chest heaved. And if I fail? She whispered, the word trembling on her lips. You cannot fail, he replied. Not with me, not while I am here. But I will push, I will provoke, I will draw out every part of you, every fear, every strength, every desire. And you will discover who you truly are beneath the pain and pride. The intensity of his gaze, the closeness of his presence, made her tremble. She hated how her body betrayed her, how her wolf whispered of submission, even as her mind screamed defiance. "You will not dominate me," she said, though the words lacked conviction. "Not dominate," he murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Guide, protect, possess, all at once. That is what it means to be mine. That is what it means to be a Luna of Black Fang." Athena's breath caught. The words were intoxicating, terrifying, and confusing. Every instinct in her body warned her to resist. Yet another part stirred, intrigued and frightened by the depth of the pull he exerted over her. He leaned closer, close enough that the heat from his body enveloped her. His silver eyes burned into hers, unrelenting. "You will learn to trust me," he whispered. "Not because you must, but because you want to survive and because you feel the truth of it, even if you deny it." Athena's hands clenched at her sides, her wolf restless and restless. I don't need your protection," she murmured, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "And yet," he said, stepping closer, his voice low and intimate, "you crave it. As much as you hate me, you crave me. And that is why you are mine." The courtyard seemed to shrink, the night pressing closer, the shadows alive with the tension between them. Athena's heart pounded. Her wolf growled softly, warning and curious all at once. Finally, Lorenzo stepped back, giving her a fraction of space. "Rest now," he said softly. "Tomorrow, we continue. And every day after, I will test you. But understand this, every test, every challenge is because I see your strength and because I want you. Not as a pawn, not as a possession, but as mine in every sense that matters." Athena's breath came in uneven gasps. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him. And in that twisted, dangerous way, she understood the truth. She would never escape him, even if she wanted to. The sun had barely risen when Athena stepped onto the balcony of Black Fang Manor. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth from the surrounding forest. For a moment, she allowed herself a breath, listening to the distant sounds of the pack stirring below. Despite the calm, her chest was heavy with tension. Each day in this pack felt like walking a tightrope. One wrong move, one misstep, and she risked losing the fragile respect she had begun to earn. Her wolf stirred restless, sensing both the scrutiny of the pack and the ever-present shadow of Lorenzo. She hated that even now, so many hours after their interactions, his presence clung to her, tangible in ways she could neither shake nor deny. "You're awake early," a deep voice said from behind. Athena turned to see Lorenzo leaning against the doorway, his silver eyes catching the morning light. He was dressed casually, still impossibly commanding, and the sight made her stomach twist with emotions she refused to name. "I couldn't sleep," she admitted, her fingers tightening around the railing. He stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "The pack?" he asked softly. Athena looked away, hiding the flutter in her chest. "It's complicated." He nodded knowingly, his gaze never leaving hers. "Complicated is not the same as hopeless. You are stronger than you realize, Athena, stronger than you want to admit." She let out a bitter laugh. "And yet, I feel powerless here." Lorenzo's lips quirked, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Powerless only if you allow it. You command more than you know. And one day, the pack will bow to your strength, not because of me, but because of you." Athena's throat tightened. His words stirred something she hadn't expected, a fragile thread of hope, woven with fear and desire. She hated that he could make her feel seen, understood, even as he terrified her. Before she could respond, a ripple of commotion ran through the compound. Athena's heart jumped as a messenger wolf approached, bowing low. "Alpha, Luna," the wolf said, eyes flicking to Athena. "A matter requires your attention in the eastern grounds. One of the new warriors challenges your leadership." Athena's stomach churned. Another test, another confrontation. Her wolf growled low in warning. Lorenzo's gaze sharpened, protective, possessive. "Go," he said softly. "But remember, you are not alone. I am with you. Every step." Athena swallowed hard, a flush of heat rising to her cheeks. She hated the way his words resonated, how the promise of his presence was both comforting and suffocating. The eastern grounds were open, the tall grass swaying in the morning breeze. Kellen, a burly young wolf with a reputation for arrogance, stood waiting, arms crossed, fangs glinting in the sunlight. Around him, other pack members gathered, eager to witness the confrontation. "You think you can lead us?" Kellen barked, stepping closer. "You're an outsider, a traitor's mate. You have no claim here." Athena's wolf bristled, snarling inwardly. She lifted her chin, meeting his gaze steadily. I am the Luna of Black Fang, and I will earn the respect I am owed. A murmur ran through the gathering wolves. Kellen laughed harshly. Respect is earned on the battlefield, not with words. Athena's fingers clenched at her sides. She wanted to prove herself, to show the pack that she was not fragile, not broken. Yet she knew the fight was more than physical, it was political, emotional, and dangerous. Before she could make a move, a shadow fell across the field. Lorenzo stepped forward, his presence immediately commanding silence. His eyes locked on Kellen, and even the bravest among the pack faltered. This is your test, he said quietly, eyes flicking to Athena. Do not falter. Show them who you are. Athena's chest tightened, but she felt a spark of determination. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, wolf and human aligned. I will not fail, she whispered, not to him, not to Kellen, but to herself. The confrontation began, and Athena moved with a blend of precision and instinct. Kellen was strong, but she anticipated his moves, countered with calculated strikes, and relied on her wolf's heightened senses. Every move she made, every step she took, was a statement. She belonged here. By the end, Kellen stumbled back, conceding grudgingly. The pack watched in stunned silence, some eyes flicking toward Lorenzo, others toward Athena. Lorenzo stepped beside her, hand brushing hers lightly, not enough to break boundaries, but enough to send a pulse of heat through her. You did well, he murmured, his voice private yet intense. Athena's cheeks burned. I had to, she whispered. No, he said, turning her to face him. You wanted to. That is the difference. You are learning to trust yourself. And perhaps slowly me. Her heart raced at his words. She hated that she considered them carefully, hated that a tiny piece of her wanted to believe them. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the compound, Athena realized the truth. She was not just surviving. She was learning to navigate this dangerous world, to find strength in herself, and whether she liked it or not, to feel something for the man who had claimed her. The slow burn inside her chest grew, a whisper of fire mingled with fear. She hated him, she feared him, and somewhere, terrifyingly, she wanted him too. The manor was quiet when Athena returned from the eastern grounds, her body still humming with adrenaline from the confrontation. Every nerve was alive, her wolf restless, sensing the lingering tension among the pack. She thought she could slip away unnoticed, retreat to her chambers and breathe, but a presence blocked the corridor. Lorenzo. He leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed, silver eyes glinting with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. Impressive, he said, his voice low, controlled. Not many could face the pack like that and emerge standing. Not many could stand against Kellen and prove themselves. Athena's chest tightened. I had to, she said curtly. It wasn't for you. You lie beautifully, he murmured, stepping closer. The faint scent of him, smoke, earth, dominance wrapped around her like a warning and an invitation all at once. Every fiber of you wanted to succeed, every heartbeat, every glance. You wanted my approval, even if you deny it. Her wolf growled low, uneasily, sensing the intensity in his words. I don't want anything from you, she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. Do not test me, he said softly, yet the underlying command made her body shiver. You belong to me, not by contract alone, but by the pull of your own heart and wolf. Athena's chest constricted. The words hit harder than any blow, reverberating through her like wildfire. I do not belong to anyone, she said. Though even as the words left her lips, a small, dangerous part of her knew it wasn't true. Lorenzo's hand brushed her arm, light but deliberate, and heat flared through her veins. And yet, you are here. You remain. You cannot resist what binds us. She stepped back, trying to regain control, her wolf restless, warning her. This is wrong, she whispered. We wrong? His voice was almost a growl, sharp with possessiveness. No, this is inevitable. You and I are bond, our fate cannot be denied. I will test you, push you, and yes, desire you. But always, you will be safe, protected, even if it terrifies you. Athena's wolf shivered, sensing the intensity, the danger, the undeniable pull of dominance and care mixed together. I hate you, she said, though her voice trembled and her body betrayed her denial. Lorenzo smiled faintly, the kind of smile that promised both torment and salvation. Hate me, fear me, want me, it doesn't matter. I will have you, Athena, in every way that counts. Her heartbeat raced, the walls she had built around herself crumbling under the force of his presence. She wanted to step away, but her legs felt rooted to the floor, her wolf silent but alert, aware of the storm in his eyes. You test me, she whispered. Every day. You push me until I don't know what I feel anymore. And yet, he murmured, closing the distance between them slowly, deliberately. You stay, you fight, you grow, and every day, I see more of the Luna you were meant to be, and more of the woman I desire to keep, not just for a contract, but for all of time. Athena's breath caught. His words were a knife and a bomb, cutting through her resistance while igniting something dark and dangerous within her. She hated how her wolf stirred, how her body betrayed her, how her heart whispered truths she refused to speak aloud. You will not claim me, she said, voice shaking. I have already claimed you, he replied, voice low, certain. Every look, every heartbeat, every fight you endure, I claim it all. And one day, little wolf, you will stop resisting, not because you must, but because you will want to. The air between them crackled, thick with tension, desire, and unspoken truths. Athena's wolf whimpered softly, caught between caution and craving. Her body betrayed her, leaning ever so slightly toward him, though her mind screamed to resist. Lorenzo's gaze softened just enough for her to notice, a rare flicker of tenderness shining through the steel. I will be patient, he whispered. But make no mistake, every day, every moment, you will belong more to me. And in the end, you will see it for yourself. Athena swallowed hard, chest heaving. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. And in that terrifying, inescapable way, she realized the truth. She could not escape him. Not his presence, not his dominance, not the dangerous fire between them, even if she tried. The manor was quiet, save for the soft crackle of the fire in the main hall. Athena moved through the corridors, her footsteps echoing softly, each one a reminder of how alien this world still felt. The weight of the day, the challenges, the confrontations, and the unrelenting presence of Lorenzo pressed on her chest. She entered her chambers, closing the door behind her with a soft click, but sleep eluded her. Her wolf shifted restlessly, sensing the tension, the desire, and the danger that seemed to hang over her like a storm cloud. A soft knock at the door made her start. Athena, came Lorenzo's voice, low and deliberate. May I come in? Her heart raced, every instinct screaming both warning and curiosity. I don't need, she began, but stopped as the door creaked open. He stepped inside, closing the space between them in a measured stride. You are not alone tonight, he said softly, eyes never leaving hers. Not in the pack, not here, not anywhere. Athena's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, to tell him she could handle herself, but the truth sat heavy on her shoulders. She couldn't, not fully. Not while he was here, while his presence was so undeniably protective, commanding, and overwhelming. He approached her slowly, his gaze scanning her face, reading every flicker of emotion. You fought well today, he murmured, not just against Kellen, but against every doubt that lingered inside you, every fear, every hesitation, and you prevailed. Athena swallowed, her throat tight. I didn't need you. You did, he said simply, a quiet certainty in his tone. Even if you deny it, even if you try to push it away. Her wolf growled low, uneasy with the intimacy, the closeness, the intensity of his gaze. Athena's hands clenched at her sides, her pulse racing. I am not yours, she whispered. You already are, he said softly, stepping closer. Not by contract alone, but by everything you feel and cannot name yet. Every beat of your heart, every tremor in your body, every flicker of your wolf. It answers to me. Even when you fight it, it belongs to me. The air between them was charged, thick with unspoken truths and dangerous desire. Athena's legs trembled, and her wolf whined softly, torn between caution and craving. You will learn, he continued, his voice a low, intimate growl. You will learn that resistance is futile, not because I force it, but because your own heart will betray you. Slowly, inevitably, until you cannot deny it. Athena's breath caught. The tension, the closeness, the quiet dominance, it was suffocating and intoxicating all at once. She wanted to step back, to assert control, but her body betrayed her. Every nerve, every instinct, every part of her wolf leaned toward him. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The touch was light, but it sent a spark through her body that made her shiver. I will be patient, he whispered, but know this. Tonight, tomorrow, every night after, you will learn what it means to be mine, and in time, you will want it, even if you hate me for it. Athena's hands trembled at her sides. I hate you, she whispered, though the word felt hollow, betraying the turmoil inside her. And yet, he murmured, his gaze softening just enough to make her chest ache. You crave me, and that is inevitable. The firelight flickered across his face, illuminating the rare tenderness behind the dominance, and Athena felt something she couldn't name, a pull, a storm, a dangerous longing that made her wolf stir in. Uneasy excitement. Lorenzo stepped closer, close enough that the warmth of his body pressed against hers. Tonight, he said, voice low and private, you will rest under my protection. Sleep, knowing that I am here, that no harm will reach you, that every danger is mine to confront. Athena's chest heaved. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him. And now, in the quiet darkness, the realization pressed against her heart. She could not run, not from the pack, not from her wolf, not from him. He extended a hand, patient and commanding, and for a fleeting moment, Athena saw no threat, only the promise of safety, power, and the impossible pull of desire. She hesitated then, against every instinct to resist. She placed her hand in his. The connection was immediate, electric. Her wolf whimpered softly, conflicted, yet strangely comforted. Her heart raced, and Athena realized that, for the first time in a long time, she felt protected. Lorenzo's silver eyes held hers, unwavering, and he whispered, sleep now, Luna. Let the night carry you. And know this, you are mine, all of you. In time, you will understand, and you will not fight it. Athena closed her eyes, the storm inside her quieting, if only slightly. The fire crackled, casting shadows across the room, and for the first time since her exile, since her betrayal, she allowed herself to feel safe, even if that safety came wrapped in the dangerous, intoxicating form of Lorenzo. And deep inside, she knew, she hated that she wanted it. The night had been quiet, almost eerily so, when the alarm broke through the stillness. Athena bolted upright in her chambers, heart hammering. Her wolf snarled instinctively, alert to danger she couldn't yet see. Lorenzo was already moving before she could react, the sheer force of his presence filling the corridor as he appeared at her door. Athena, he said, voice low, commanding. Stay here, do not leave. But she began, but the fierce glare in his silver eyes silenced her. She could feel the weight of his dominance even in the briefest glance, the silent assertion that he would handle this and she would obey. The hallways were alive with the rest of the pack, some already gathering in defensive formations, others readying weapons. Athena's wolf whined softly, uneasy with the tension, yet sensing Lorenzo's protective presence. The eastern gate, Lorenzo growled, moving like a shadow. Someone is testing us. Testing me. Testing you. Athena's chest tightened. Should I, you will follow only when I say. He cut her off. Do not falter. Do not act rashly. Trust me. The Black Fang compound was alive with motion as they approached the eastern gate. Moonlight gleamed off weapons, fur bristled in anticipation, and Athena's pulse thundered. Her wolf growled, sensing both the fear and adrenaline among the pack. Through the gate, a small group of rogue wolves emerged, their eyes sharp, teeth bared. Athena's wolf bristled at the intrusion, but Lorenzo's aura overshadowed all fear. He moved to the forefront, protective, dominant, and terrifying all at once. Luna, he murmured, brushing a reassuring hand over her arm as they positioned themselves. Observe, learn, and when the moment comes, act with precision, not fear. Athena nodded, heart pounding, her body taut. Her wolf surged with readiness, instincts honed from years of survival. She watched as Lorenzo moved like a storm, commanding the pack with precision. Every motion, every word was calculated dominance. He was terrifying, beautiful, and utterly unyielding. The rogue wolves charged. Athena's wolf instinctively leapt forward, but Lorenzo's hand on her shoulder held her back. Not yet, he growled. Watch, learn, and wait for your moment. Kellen and the other warriors clashed with the intruders, fangs and claws meeting in sparks of violence. Athena's body trembled with tension, adrenaline, and something deeper, something dangerous that stirred whenever Lorenzo was near. Then, a rogue lunged at her. In a heartbeat, Lorenzo's silver eyes locked on the threat. He moved faster than thought, intercepting the attack, fangs sinking just enough to incapacitate. Athena's chest heaved, her wolf howling relief and awe. "You see?" he murmured, voice low, close enough for only her to hear. "I will always protect you. No one touches you. Not now, not ever." Athena's cheeks burned as she started, but he silenced her with a glance. "Focus," he said softly, almost tenderly. "Your wolf and you. Trust it. Trust yourself. And trust me." The battle raged for a few more moments before the rogue wolves retreated. Wounded but alive, the pack regrouped, tension easing as the danger passed. Athena's heart still raced, adrenaline still surging, but she realized something vital. She had survived, and she had learned. Lorenzo's hand found hers again, brushing over her knuckles, sending a jolt through her body. "You did well," he murmured, silver eyes locking with hers. "Every day, you grow stronger, and every day, I want you more. Not just for protection, not just for the pack, but for me." Athena's wolf stirred, restless and confused, mirroring the storm inside her chest. "I don't know what I feel," she admitted softly, voice trembling. "You feel fear?" "Yes," he murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You feel desire, confusion, and slowly, trust. You are learning to feel me, Athena, to see the truth, that we are bound, wolf and Luna, mate and mate, heart and heart." Her chest tightened. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. Every word, every glance, every brush of his hand ignited a fire she could neither deny nor name. "Rest now," he whispered, his hand lingering over hers, grounding her. "The night has tested you. The day will test you more. But remember this, you are mine, in every sense that matters. And one day, you will see it too." Athena's pulse thundered, wolf and heart racing. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. And in that dangerous, intoxicating way, she realized the truth. She would never escape him. Not the pack, not her wolf, not the slow, burning pull of desire and destiny that bound them together. The night settled over the manor, quiet now, but alive with tension, protection, and unspoken promises. Athena closed her eyes, letting herself feel the safety, the fire, the overwhelming, consuming pull of Lorenzo, and for the first time, she allowed herself to acknowledge that perhaps terrifyingly, she wanted more than just protection. The sun had dipped low, painting the sky in bruised purples and fiery oranges. Athena stood in the training yard, muscles tense, wolf restless beneath her skin. Lorenzo was near, his presence a shadow and a warmth all at once. "Today," he said, voice low, commanding, "we train differently. Not with strength, but with control." Athena blinked, wary. "Control?" "Yes," he murmured, stepping closer. "Control of yourself, your wolf, and your instincts." "And little wolf," his silver eyes glimmered with something dangerous. "Control over your desire." Her chest tightened. She hated him for the way that word made her pulse race, for the flutter of nerves his gaze ignited. "I'm not sure I can." "You can," he interrupted, brushing a hand along her shoulder, guiding her stance. "You've already proven strength, courage, and now, it's time to learn surrender." Athena's wolf growled softly, uneasy at the idea, but she followed his movements, mirroring him as he guided her through the exercises. Every touch, every adjustment, every command pressed a subtle tension into the air between them. "You are doing well," he murmured, voice low, private, close enough that heat radiated from his body into hers. "Your wolf is learning to trust me. Your body is learning, whether you like it or not, to respond to me." She clenched her fists, hiding the shiver that ran through her. "I'm not yours," she whispered. "You are," he said simply, brushing a stray lock of hair from her cheek. "And you will see it soon, because resistance fades when trust and desire take root." The sun set, leaving them in the twilight. Every movement, every glance, every brush of skin carried a subtle, dangerous intimacy. Athena hated how drawn she felt, hated how much she wanted to trust him even as fear whispered in her mind. "You will learn, little wolf," Lorenzo whispered, voice both promise and warning, "that surrender is not weakness, it is power. And with me, it can be the most intoxicating, freeing thing you have ever known." Athena's chest tightened, heart racing. Her wolf shifted uneasily, yet she felt a spark of relief in the presence of his protective dominance. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. And for the first time, she began to see that surrendering slowly, intentionally might be the only way to survive, and perhaps even thrive. The moon hung low over Black Fang Manor, silver light spilling across the training yard. Athena's muscles ached from the day's exercises, yet she lingered, wolf restless beneath her skin. Lorenzo emerged from the shadows, moving silently, like a predator circling its prey, but in a way that made her pulse race with both fear and anticipation. "You linger," he murmured, voice low, smooth, and commanding. "Why? I needed to think," she admitted, avoiding his gaze. Her cheeks burned. "About the pack, about myself, about everything." His silver eyes softened slightly, though the intensity never left them. "Everything? Yes," she whispered, trembling slightly. "And about you." Lorenzo's gaze sharpened. "And what about me?" Athena swallowed, heart hammering. "I don't know what I feel. I hate you. I fear you. And yet," she paused, chest tight, wolf restless. "I want you. I can't deny it anymore." Lorenzo's lips curved faintly. "You see," he murmured, stepping closer, his presence overwhelming, intoxicating. "Your wolf knows. Your heart knows. Even if your mind refuses, you feel it, this bond, this pull, this desire, and it terrifies you." Athena shivered, torn between resistance and temptation. I shouldn't feel this way," she whispered. "You shouldn't," he agreed softly. "But you do, and that is the truth you must face." He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, lingering just enough to ignite every nerve. "Ending, and his voice dropped, deep and intimate. "I want you, all of you, not for the contract, not for the pack, but for me. You are mine, Athena, and I will not let you forget it." Her chest heaved. You don't need to speak," he interrupted softly. "Just feel. Let your wolf respond. Let your heart decide. And when you are ready, you will stop denying it." Athena's wolf stirred, conflicted but curious, sensing the undeniable pull between them. Her body betrayed her resistance, leaning closer, though her mind screamed to retreat. Lorenzo's hand brushed along her arm, tracing a path that sent shivers down her spine. "I will wait," he whispered, patiently. "But know this, you cannot escape me. Not your wolf, not your heart, not this bond. And in time, you will want it. You will want me, even if it frightens you." She closed her eyes, letting herself feel, letting herself tremble. Fear, desire, relief, and longing mingled into an intoxicating storm inside her. She hated him for it, feared him for it, and yet, in the darkness of the moonlit yard, she realized the truth. She could no longer resist. A distant howl echoed across the compound, reminding them of the pack, of their duties, and of the fragile balance of power that still lingered. Athena opened her eyes, meeting his gaze. "I don't know if I'm ready," she whispered, voice trembling. "You are," he said simply. "You've been ready from the moment you realized your wolf cannot resist mine, from the moment your heart began to respond. You are ready, little wolf, even if you do not see it yet." Athena's breath caught, her pulse raced, wolf restless but obedient, body leaning ever so slightly toward him. She hated that she trusted him so completely, hated that she longed for his touch, hated that she wanted him. "And one day," he whispered, stepping closer, voice low and intimate, "you will stop fighting. You will stop denying. You will embrace what is inevitable. Our bond, our desire, our love." Her chest ached. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. And in the quiet moonlight, she allowed herself the dangerous truth. She was falling for him. The morning sun had barely kissed the manor when Athena was summoned to the council hall. Her wolf stirred nervously beneath her skin, aware of the tension in the air. The pack had sensed the previous night's danger, and whispers had already begun to ripple through the ranks. Lorenzo met her at the threshold, his presence immediately grounding her. His silver eyes scanned her, protective and commanding. "You are ready," he murmured, "ready for what comes next." Athena's chest tightened. I don't know if I can." "You can," he said firmly, brushing a hand over her shoulder. "Because you are not alone. Not in the council. Not in the pack. Not with me. Trust me. Trust yourself." The council hall buzzed with murmurs as she entered. Eyes followed her, some curious, some wary, and some openly skeptical. Athena's wolf growled low, defensive, and she felt a surge of adrenaline. Lorenzo stood beside her, placing a steady hand on the small of her back. "Introduce her," he said quietly to the pack. Not just as Luna, but as mine. Athena's cheeks burned, but she straightened, meeting the eyes of the pack. I am Athena, she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. I am your Luna, and I stand with Lorenzo at my side not by fear, but by choice. The room fell silent, then erupted into murmurs. Some nodded in respect, others exchanged wary glances. Athena's wolf throbbed with pride and caution. She had claimed her place, but the journey was not yet over. Lorenzo's hand tightened slightly on her back, grounding her. Tonight, he whispered, voice low, intimate, you will see what it means to surrender fully. Not to the pack, but to me, to your heart, to your desire. And by morning, you will know what it means to belong. Athena's pulse thundered. She hated him. She feared him. She wanted him. And deep down, she knew he was right tonight. She would face the truth of her heart. The evening brought them to the private quarters, a space intimate and safe, yet charged with unspoken tension. Lorenzo closed the door behind them, the weight of his presence pressing in like a storm and a shelter all at once. Tonight, he murmured, stepping close, we leave the world behind. The pack, the council, the threats, they vanish in this room. There is only us. Only your wolf, your heart, and me. Athena's wolf shivered at the intensity, her body betraying her as heat surged through her. I don't know if I can, you can, he said simply, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Because your heart knows the truth. Your wolf knows, and I will guide you. Slowly, patiently, but inevitably, every nerve in her body screamed in anticipation, fear, and longing. She wanted to step back, but she couldn't. Not when his presence, his dominance, and his undeniable desire held her captive in the safest and most dangerous way imaginable. Lorenzo leaned closer, his lips brushing her ear. Tonight, you will surrender not to me, not to the contract, but to what you feel, to the bond that has been growing, burning quietly between us. Athena's breath caught. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him, and in the quiet, charged darkness, she realized the truth. She was ready to embrace the slow, consuming pull of desire that had been building for months. Her wolf whimpered softly, not in fear, but in anticipation, sensing the inevitability of what was coming. She looked into his silver eyes, searching, trembling, and finally whispered, I trust you. A faint smile curved his lips, dangerous and tender all at once. Good, he murmured, because you are mine, all of you. And tonight, we will prove it. The night deepened around them, the manor silent, the fire crackling low. Athena and Lorenzo stood together, not just as Luna and Alpha, not just as contract-bound allies, but as two beings slowly surrendering to the inevitability of desire, trust, and love. Every glance, every touch, every heartbeat confirmed the bond that had been forged through fire, danger, and months of slow, tortuous tension. Athena's wolf shifted, finally at ease, aligning with her heart. She hated him, she feared him, she wanted him, and at last, she could admit it fully, not just to herself, but to the man who had claimed her in every way that mattered. The bond was no longer a contract. It was theirs. The first light of dawn spilled across Black Fang Manor, painting the world in soft gold. Athena stood on the balcony, wolf stirring within her, heart beating steady and strong. The night had passed in a blur of trust, surrender, and revelation. She was no longer uncertain, no longer resistant. Lorenzo stepped beside her, hand brushing hers. His silver eyes held the storm and calm of the past months, dominance tempered by tenderness. Morning, he murmured, voice low, intimate. Morning, she replied softly, leaning slightly against him. Her wolf purred with contentment, sensing the alignment of heart, mind, and body. You are ready, he said, eyes scanning the horizon, then returning to hers. Ready to face the pack, ready to face yourself, ready to accept what has always been true. Athena's chest tightened. I am ready, she whispered. Ready to be Luna, ready to be yours. Lorenzo's smile was rare, tender, dangerous all at once. Mine, he said simply, voice full of promise. In every sense that matters. The pack gathered below, murmurs of anticipation echoing through the courtyard. Athena descended the stairs with Lorenzo at her side, the bond between them undeniable. Her wolf walked in step with hers, calm, aligned, and ready. Kellen and the other pack leaders bowed slightly, acknowledging not just her position as Luna, but the unity she and Lorenzo represented. Luna Athena, Kellen said, voice steady. You have earned your place, and together with Lorenzo, you will guide this pack to strength, prosperity, and honor. Athena's chest swelled with pride, but her gaze remained locked on Lorenzo. We will, she said softly, voice steady. Together, the murmurs turned into applause, and the pack howled in unison, a wave of unity, strength, and loyalty. Athena's wolf purred in her chest, aligning fully with her heart, soul, and desire. Lorenzo's hand found hers again, thumb brushing over her knuckles. See, he whispered, leaning close, silver eyes burning into hers. This is the power of trust, the strength of surrender, and the inevitability of what has always been ours. Athena's breath caught. I trust you, fully, and I will always protect you, he said softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face, thumb lingering. Always, and love you, entirely. Her pulse thundered, wolf resting beneath her skin, body alive with warmth, anticipation, and peace. I love you, she admitted, voice trembling with the weight of truth and the fire of desire. Lorenzo's lips curved in a rare, full smile. And I love you, he murmured, pulling her close. His arms wrapped around her, possessive yet gentle, dangerous yet protective. Forever. Time seemed to slow as they stood there entwined, hearts beating in unison. The sun rose higher, casting golden light over the manor, the pack, and the bond that had been tested, forged, and finally solidified. Athena rested her forehead against his chest, wolf purring contentedly. We made it, she whispered, through danger, betrayal, fear, and desire. Yes, he murmured, lips brushing her temple. And now, we are unstoppable, together. The pack below howled again, a wave of unity and celebration. Athena and Lorenzo stood at the center, not just as Luna and Alpha, not just as contract-bound allies, but as mates, bonded by desire, trust, and love. Her wolf stirred happily, heart and instincts finally at peace. Athena smiled, leaning fully into Lorenzo, allowing herself the surrender she had resisted for so long. The slow burn had reached its culmination, the tension resolved, and the desire transformed into a love that was steady, powerful, and undeniable. And in that moment, Athena knew, with every fiber of her being, that she was exactly where she was meant to be, protected, desired, and loved by her mate, by her alpha, by the man who had claimed her, tested her, and, finally, earned her heart. Lorenzo pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead, whispering, mine, always. Athena's smile was radiant, wolf at peace, heart full. Yours, always. The sun rose fully, casting light across the manor, the pack, and the new era of unity, trust, and love. The bond was unbreakable, forged in fire, tested in desire, and finally fulfilled in heart and soul. They had survived betrayal, danger, and the slow burning tension of months, only to discover a truth far stronger than either could have imagined. Love, trust, and surrender were the ultimate power. Together, they would face every storm. Together, they would lead. Together, they would thrive. And in the quiet strength of that bond, Athena and Lorenzo finally found the peace, passion, and permanence they had both been craving.